back to another episode of Leon checking out some beta firmware. This is the latest public beta release for the FM3. Brand new drives, updated drive modeling, UltraRes cabinet IRs, some nice tweaks in FM3 edit. Let's get into it. Got the band commander at stock settings with one of my own cabinet IRs. You can see here I can select between standard and UltraRes IR length. This is all about the length of the IR and not the actual quality. Pete Thorne has a great video about IR length. We're going to hear the difference here, if it can be heard, between standard and UltraRes on this particular cab. I'll just play the same chord and flick between them. What I'm hearing in there, and it is quite subtle, I've got my studio monitors up quite loud at the moment and they're pretty detailed. I'm hearing a little bit more of the kind of room sound captured in there, which would make sense when you've got a longer impulse response time in there. So play around with that one and go into it with the mindset that it's all about how much information you want in there and not necessarily about the quality of the information. The quality is basically the same on both of them. One is going to pick up slightly more room sound, slightly more detail in there, and you may or may not want that on there. That's a whole 1 hour long video we could do about IR length. But like I said, go and check out Pete's video. It's way better than anything I would do. And let's hear some drives. I've been really surprised by this 1981 drive. It's a boutique Rat clone. And I'm not normally the sort of person that loves a distortion pedal into a really clean amp, but this one sounds great. Pretty awesome, right? Another one worth checking out is the Boxer Crunch, based on perhaps the most iconic Australian distortion pedal ever, the MI Audio Crunch Box. This one is a much thicker, low-end heavy version of what we just heard. I imagine it's a totally different circuit topology anyway, but it's a Marshall in a box, but it's kind of one of those older, saggy, really distorted Marshalls. Pretty awesome. Yeah, and you can really crank the tone control up on that one and tailor it to your taste, which I like. We've got to hear the Precision Drive. This is one people have really been hanging out for. I kind of like it into a clean amp as well. It's basically just a tube screamer with more low end and top end control in there. So play around with the attack control. I think that's the big one for taming the low end. If I go to one of the parallel modes on this guitar, let's hear it where it is, and then I'll dial in the attack control. But of course we have to hear this into a dirty amp. So we'll turn the level up, I'll leave the drive where it is, and I'll back the attack off, and we'll hear it with, what are we going to hear it with? What have I got on channel B? The 5153 100 watt blue. We'll hear it without, and then I'll kick the drive pedal in midway through. So the attack and bright are really cool controls on there to sort of tailor the sort of low end response you want in there. If you want super tight, super genty stuff, probably turn attack down, in my experience anyway, and play around with the bright control, more like a traditional tone control. But you get some really cool tones no matter where you set them. So the precision drive in there is awesome. There's also the DS1 in there. People have been asking for the DS1 for a bazillion years, and it's in there as well as the DS1 distortion mod. So time to butcher some Steve Vai, kids. Let's turn up the mix control. A DS1 with the drive cranked into an already distorted amp is a pretty awesome thing. Something like that anyway, that's enough to get you banned from guitar stores nationwide. Let's go over to another great drive model, the Compulsion Distortion. Might turn the drive down a little bit and go back to the Band Commander. This one's based on the Full Tone OCD. I like Molly Hatchet. You should like Molly Hatchet as well. One last drive model to check out on here, again, that I've been enjoying while I've been playing around with this. There's a bunch of these Tube Screamer Deluxe models in here, and the TS9 DX Plus is kind of an interesting one. Doesn't sound like your typical Tube Screamer. I like it for kind of smoother stuff on the neck pickup into a clean amp. So let's dial it in. Kind of an interesting little riff on that Tube Screamer flavor. There's so much to check out in here. One little thing with the editor that I like as well is if you go Scene Manager, and let's say you want to set up a preset where you've got what I've got going on here, right? But you want channel A on all of these to be set up on one scene, and then you want the next scene, everything to change to channel B. Well, you can do that by going, say, to scene 1 and going all blocks set to channel A, B, C, or D. It's a pretty handy little feature right there. There's a bunch of other things. I'll do a video when the full release comes out. Otherwise, stay safe, be excellent to one another. I'll play you all out with some of this Tube Screamer Deluxe thing, and have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.